Okay, picture this. Alarms are blaring, people are moving fast. Something has clearly gone wrong. An accident just happened. And in that moment of chaos, our brains are hardwired to ask one single question.
So what is it? What's that question? Come on, you know the one. It's almost always who did this, right? Who messed up? Who's responsible? It's such a human reaction. But you know what? It's also the single biggest mistake we can make right out of the gate.
And this is where we need a total mindset shift. A real investigation, a good one, isn't about finding a person to blame. It's about figuring out what broke in the system. So we stop asking who and we start asking why. Why did our training, our equipment, our procedures, our entire setup let this happen in the first place? That change in question changes everything.
Yeah, and this isn't just some feel-good platitude. It's the absolute core principle of the whole thing. The goal here is prevention, not punishment. Think about it. If you just blame one person and stop there, you haven't actually fixed the problem. And that means, sure as anything, it's going to happen again.
So, okay, how do we actually find that why? Well, it's not by guessing. It's by following a clear, methodical process. There's a solid framework for this, and it breaks down into 6 key steps that take you all the way from the incident itself to a real, lasting fix.
Just look at this as your roadmap to get out of that blame game we were talking about. You start with the basics, right? Collect the info, figure out what actually caused it. Then you start looking forward. How bad could this be in the future? What are we going to do about it? You write it all up. But that last step, implement and monitor, that's the one that really counts. You got to see it through.
All right, let's really get into the most important part of this whole thing, digging up what really happened. And I'm not talking about jumping to the easiest conclusion. This is about being a detective, methodical, disciplined, and starting the second that incident occurs.
After you've taken care of anyone who's hurt and controlled any immediate danger, the clock is ticking. Seriously. Your absolute #1 priority is to secure that scene. Evidence is fragile. It can get moved, cleaned up, or just disappear. Locking it down exactly as it is, that's step 1 to finding the truth.
Any good investigator shows up ready, and their first set of tools is all about capturing the scene. We're talking cameras, tape measures, even containers for samples. You've got to document every single detail precisely as it is before it's gone forever.
And then you've got the tools for scene control. This is your barrier tape, your evidence tags, and of course, all your own safety gear. The mission here is twofold. Keep the evidence from being contaminated and keep everyone else safe in what might still be a pretty hazardous area.
Now, when it comes to talking to witnesses, there's a really smart technique to use. It's called the 2-pass interview. The first time you talk to them, your job is just one thing: listen. You make them comfortable, you make it crystal clear you're there to prevent future problems, not to blame anyone. And then you let them talk. No interruptions. And here's the key: don't take any notes, just listen. This gets you their story, pure and simple.
Then, you do the second pass. You ask them to tell you the story again, but this time you're taking detailed notes. You're asking clarifying questions to nail down the specifics. And this is so important. You review your notes with them to make sure you got it right. And finally, you ask them, hey, how do you think we could stop this from happening again? The people closest to the problem often have the best ideas for the solution. So, as you're putting all this evidence together, you're going to find the immediate cause pretty quickly. This is the obvious stuff right on the surface. A worker wasn't wearing their gloves, or a guard was missing from a machine. It's the what that happened, and it is so tempting to just stop right there. But if you do, you've missed the whole point.
Because you have to dig down to the root cause. This is the real why. Why wasn't that worker wearing gloves? Was the training bad? Did they even have the right gloves in stock? Was the policy just not being enforced? The root cause is the system failure, the deep down breakdown that allowed that surface level mistake to happen at all.
And these root causes, they usually fall into one of 5 big buckets. It could be something about the task itself, or the materials and equipment involved. Maybe it's the environment, like poor lighting. It could be human factors, like a lack of training. Or, and this is a big one, it could be a failure in the management system itself, the policies and culture that are supposed to keep people safe.
Finding those root causes, that's a huge victory. But honestly, it's only half the job. The entire reason we do this is to take that knowledge and use it to build a stronger, safer system that actually works.
One of the first things you do is figure out how bad the risk really is. You classify hazards based on their potential to cause harm. A Class A hazard, that's the worst. It could lead to death or permanent injury.
A Class C is minor. By ranking them like this, you know exactly which problems you need to tackle first, with the most resources.
I mean, this quote really nails it, doesn't it? If you only mop up the water on the floor but you never fix the leaky pipe, what's going to happen? You're going to be mopping forever. An investigation that doesn't eliminate the root cause is, frankly, a failed investigation. The problem will just keep coming back.
And that is exactly why the job is not over when you file the report. Not even close. The job is done when the fixes are in place, when they're actually working, and when you have a plan to keep checking on them. That follow-up piece, it's completely non-negotiable.
Now, this process, it sounds great on paper, but let me tell you, there are so many ways it can go wrong. There are a bunch of common traps or pitfalls that can completely derail an investigation and make the whole thing a waste of time. And here are the biggest ones. The whole thing can fail if the person in charge doesn't know what they're doing. It can fail if the final report just gets stuffed in a drawer and management never sees it. It can fail, big time, if leadership just doesn't have the will to make changes. Or if the fixes you recommend are just flimsy little band-aids. See a pattern? They all point back to a broken culture.
And if you're ever tempted to think an accident was just one person's simple mistake, just remember this number. A typical incident has 4 or 5, that's right, 4 or 5 separate root causes all working together. It is almost never just one thing. It's a whole chain of system failures that lines up perfectly to create a disaster.
So, when you get right down to it, we get to decide what these events mean. Is an accident investigation just about closing the book on something terrible, putting a period at the end of the sentence? Or is it the beginning? Is it the starting point for a really honest conversation about how we get better and how we make damn sure this never happens again?